Okay.
And we are live for another Big Daddy Linux Live on Saturday night, seeing as how we can't call it Saturday Night Live. Or can we? At least not in the title, we can't. Colin, you're the first one in the room. What's happening?
Yes, it's well, I'm trying to lift my game. That's what's happening.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Gamp, are you going to join us today or what? Because he was here. All right.
So I'm very excited to see whether Solus release a Solus 4 before Christmas or the Budgie 11. I think they planned on releasing Budgie 11 this year, but I think they've come across some other things that they needed to work on, and it's probably put it back a little bit, I would think.
Yep. Well, I don't know if it's put back on purpose or if it just was never going to be there. They were hoping maybe it was going to be there. But, you know, it's such a huge undertaking what they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not surprised at all that it's not, like, immediately coming out.
Yeah, well, I think they've updated the GNOME 3 to the 3.26. So I haven't actually been on Solus for a little while now. So I actually thought I'm just going to run a few. I've been running Ubuntu for like 6-7 weeks now. So I'm probably going to put something else on there soon. So we'll see how we go with that.
Yep. Well, let me get the invite and post it places so that people actually join. That would probably be good, huh?
Yeah.
And I'm going to send it directly to Michael Tennell because he's always late, and I want to make sure he realizes that we're on time.
He's around because I was chatting with him this morning because he's always live just before you anyway. And that's because he's about 3 hours or 4 hours late or something starting his live chat. Although he could be asleep because he was looking like he was falling asleep on chat.
Was he?
Yeah, I think he didn't get much sleep last night. So,
well, I caught the tail end of his live stream. So, I mean, I wasn't even in like Discord or anything. I was just in the chat. So,
right.
It was I don't know if he was continuing on or if I couldn't stay very long, but yeah, I was on the back end of it.
He had to restart. He restarted the live stream. So I don't know what the reason for that was, but
yeah, but I think he like does that for recording purposes so that he can
okay,
you know, start working on what he already did while he's still live streaming. So
right. Did you know Zeb's been given a community strike? Did you know that?
I did. I actually talked to him, and I can't. I still don't understand the backstory of it, the back end of why an OBS setting would cause that to happen.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. And to be honest, they should have better systems in place to, you know, a testing stream. And it does. He did say it does tell you, so he was aware of it.
I know it tells you, but that's what I'm trying to figure out. What's the technical reason? They know it's there, so. What's the technical thing that it's doing that's causing YouTube to stop or to ban you for that? And why wouldn't they take it out, dude?
I've seen a lot more volatile stuff on YouTube than just a test stream. And I don't know, maybe it's taken up their valuable resources on YouTube. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows? I don't know.
I might have to start this again here. Like my internet connection seems to be going goofy here. But
actually, it's saying live 12 minutes, actually, on here.
Well, I'm going to let it go. We'll see, but I'm just saying it's going red and green all at the same time. So who knows?
Well, there's people on chat.
Yep. 16.
There's definitely no video up on... Oh, actually, no, because I'm not playing, am I? That's probably why.
Yeah.
No, there's still nothing there. It's just saying live in 12 minutes.
I don't know. I show it live. It shows being live. Stream health is good. Ski, what's going on? It's because you're running Linux. No, Chris, it's not because I'm running Linux, okay? If I was running Windows, the stream probably wouldn't be live.
I'll maybe need to refresh mine. Probably I'll just check that. Just refresh it.
It's your internet connection, man. You got the best.
My internet. Yeah, it's work. Yeah, it is working. Sorry. I live in a first world country with 10th world internet. It's just ridiculous. And they were rolling across Australia the National Broadband Network, which is the NBN, and now the government saying, "Oh, stop that! It's no good. We've found it to be no good, and now who knows what they're doing." So I might as well go live in my wife's country, Cambodia. They've probably got better internet than us.
Maybe they probably do. Just saying,
they do.
And it's a common thing from everybody that I talk to that's from Australia. It has the same situation. So,
yep, it's terrible. And I was looking forward to the NBN to hopefully get update the internet, but that looks like it's not happening. So.
So this week we talked to, I'm going to give it away because Ryan's not here and he can't stop me. This week we talked to Dustin from Ubuntu Budgie. He talked about the new release of 17.10 and everything. And, I installed it on on one of my test drives. And, me and Ryan came to the same conclusion, man. It's stinking beautiful. It's a beautiful desktop.
Ubuntu?
Budgie, yeah, Ubuntu Budgie.
Ubuntu Budgie, yes, I have tried that. And actually, and you know what? You've got the Budgie desktop. You've got all the packages that you can, .deb files and all that. And when you're installing Zoom and things like that, you've just got it all at hand, isn't it? And that's the advantage.
Yep. Well, one, it's beautiful. Two, the defaults on it are pretty awesome. I mean, you don't have to do much tweaking, but that's like the same double-edged sword, because there's two pros to it, which is what I just said, and then there's two kind of downsides, not downsides, but things that aren't maybe what I would like to see. And one is the menu. I'm not a big fan of the menu itself. I would prefer a full screen menu. And the second thing would... Go ahead.
Yeah, go on. No, that's fine.
Well, the second thing would be the defaults are good enough where you don't really have to do a whole lot, but you really can't do a whole lot. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't offer you the ability to tweak it a whole lot. Not like other desktops, like, it doesn't give you extensions. It doesn't give you, you basically have to do it through the config files if you want to edit it. So, hi, Barb.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, Barbara.
I was just wondering, I'm in a different room because I'm totally redoing my office. This is the first time I've been in here in a while doing this. I've got enough light, correct?
Perfect.
Yep.
Okay, great. I'm going to put headphones on in a minute so you don't hear any weirdness.
I think I can see a window in the reflection of your glasses. Actually, got a window in front of you, have you?
No, got a window over there. Right, you're seeing is the reflection of the monitor. I don't have non-glare on my glasses. Sorry.
Right.
If I tip it might, except then you'll end up like looking up my nose or something.
Just putting my detective works still.
He's a detective now.
Yeah, I'm glad I don't have to use the overhead light. That's all. So
I'll tell you what, you have to be a detective if you run Linux, because just trying to find some of those config files and what to do, gee.
Yeah, right.
Just to get things to work sometimes. I'm killing myself in here.
Don't worry about it. We'll
I
be
know,
here when you
that's
get
okay.
back.
No, I've just
I was trying.
Go ahead.
No, go on, Barbara.
Oh, no, I just said I've just spent like the last 2 days working on trying to get my office and my library back to what they should be. And there's a desk behind me and I want to get rid of it, but I have to go through it. It's got things like cables and old memory and, all sorts of stuff in it.
Yeah, I'll put those in plastic boxes and chuck them under the bench somewhere.
That's what I plan to do.
I got cables everywhere from old computers and stuff, and I don't know whether they're any good anymore, to be honest.
Well, I have cables in the desk and this, in the drawers in this desk. I've got like two drawers of cables. I've got a big, huge bottom drawer in the other one. I don't think I need all of them.
No, just last year I cleaned out some of my computer stuff and I finally threw out all my IDE cables because I figured I wouldn't need them anymore.
I have an IDE drive in my in that desk, just the hard drive.
Yeah,
the rest of the computer's gone.
So
it was about time.
So I've pulled the brisk menu from GitHub on Ubuntu Mate 1710. The 0.5 to give it a go, and it's actually coming up to a bit of a standard of, I'd say, Whisker menu. You got the right clicks, add to desktop or add to favorite. So it's actually got a favorites in there now. And also,
I haven't tried it, Colin. Can you? I was reading a post about somebody was saying that you couldn't have it open with the favorites. Like when it opens, it doesn't have the ability yet to open with the favorites open. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like it goes like it's highlighted on all programs. So you see all the programs, so you don't actually see the favorites until you hit the favorites category. I was just wondering if is it?
Yeah, you open the menu, you go to favorites, and well, actually, I'm not quite sure now that you say that because I didn't really take any notice. Because what I did was I made a shortcut to a documents folder, added it into other, and then put it into favorites. So that was working. The favorites was there. You just
but what I'm saying is, was it right there when you opened up the menu, or did you have to click on the favorites category to get to the favorites?
No, you got to click on you got to scroll to navigate to the favorites, and yeah, it doesn't open up by default. I don't think. No.
Yeah, that would be nice. I mean, I love the favorites. I've been asking for the favorites for the brisk menu since it came out.
Yeah, that's right.
But it should, and I was disappointed because I was excited to see the favorites put into it, and then I'm watching these people go back and forth, and then one guy says, can you implement the fact that it would show up right away in the favorites? So.
Yeah, okay. I don't know if there's a tweak for that, but I'm pretty sure right-clicking on the menu just takes you to all the menu editor, which is, I think, probably a la carte or something like that. So so there's probably no option there, I don't think. So
scrap.
How you going?
So much for that.
What's going on, man? You have to have your mic in front of you, dude. How do you join a live stream and not have your mic in front of you? Oh, I did the same thing. It's all good, man. It's all good. So what's going on with you, Scrap?
Oh, work.
Yeah, I know what you mean. You're a little low, I think, but you're good. We can hear you. So, Barb, what have you been up to?
Who, me?
Yeah.
As I said, I've been doing this reorganization thing for the last 2 days. Other than that, not a whole lot. Which is
what operating system do you run, Barbara?
In terms of hardware or software?
Software, the distro.
Okay, I'm using Ubuntu 1710 Mate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
oh, Mate.
I'm a Mate fan.
Right. Okay. Well,
and I do have the laptop I'm using here. I have one partition with Gecko Linux, which is OpenSUSE, Tumbleweed.
Okay.
Yeah. So I switch back and forth now.
Okay.
Same desktop. I like the Mate desktop.
Could never really get into OpenSUSE, I must say.
Years ago, I used to like OpenSUSE, but I tried it recently, and I could not get the internet working on it.
Did you try the Leap, which is the LTS? Or did you try Tumbleweed?
I don't remember.
Which is their rolling release.
To be honest with you,
that worked for me.
I don't remember, but I could not. I'm thinking to myself, it's a decent operating system. Like when you install it, it looks okay. But if I can't even get out on the internet, and I got to do some convoluted thing to where I can't even figure it out, then why am I?
It's not worth it.
It's not even worth it to me. I just
Oh no, I agree with you. That's like me with Solus. I've tried Solus, I don't know how many times, but until it can see my file server, I can't use it because I have so much stuff on there.
Yep.
And the thing, you know, which Solus are you using? The Budgie desktop? I
tried them all. I tried Budgie and I tried Mate, and it didn't matter.
See, what I found was sometimes in the when you click into what is it, other? Is it other or something? And then down the bottom you can type your the address, IP address, and you can contact. Yeah, you can get through that way. But yeah, I think it's a Nautilus thing. I think, but then again,
I think it was Marius. I think had said to me, or Jordan, one or the other, had said that it was a known problem with Samba.
Oh, Samba, yeah.
That's what they said, and they said it will eventually get fixed. But it's but I'm not the only person who has that problem, and I apologize for my cat.
Yeah, actually, you're right, because I was reading something about that during the week. I think. Because I see some of the Google Plus comments from Solus and all that, and I think it's talking about looking at Samba.
Yeah, that's what the problem is. Is what I think it was Jordan who told me that, and he said just be patient and try it, and I'll try it in a couple more months. That's what I do. I try about once every 3 months.
Yeah, okay.
And I could never get it the live USB. I could not get it to boot on my MacBook Pro.
Right.
At all. It just went into limbo land and sat there. Blink, blink. The cursor blink.
The old cursor blink. Don't you hate that?
Yeah. At least it's not the blue screen of death, you know?
Well, it's funny because I was running Solus on this Toshiba laptop here, which is what I do all my testing on. And every time I install the NVIDIA drivers, I get to the black blinking desktop, and that's it. I can't even get into the desktop. So I don't know what's going on there. I think they've got a few issues with NVIDIA as well, they were saying. So
yeah, I think so. I think I've heard that.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
Cat's around.
Yep, she's here. Her name is Creature. Very well. Creature.
Well,
there's a reason for that. I apologize.
Well, you guys, when you were talking about the blinking cursor, were you talking about logging in, or were you talking about after you install it?
No, it won't even get to the login screen, and you can drop to a TTY. And I've tried to run some commands in the TTY to try and get it back and up and running again. But I don't know how many things I tried, but it was just a fail.
Yeah.
So obviously there's a problem there. So you know. I'm not fussed about it. Next time, if I install it again, I just don't install the NVIDIA drivers because it seems to run okay on the open source drivers anyway. So
it's got to be a Wayland thing, ain't?
No, there's no Wayland in Solus.
Yeah, I don't think it is. I think
I don't know. No, you're right. There is no Wayland in Solus, but usually that's a Wayland thing when it goes to a blinking cursor like that.
Yeah, but it did that with my MacBook Pro too. So, and yet if I boot that up with a live USB with Ubuntu, it does boot up.
Hi, Ryan.
What's happening?
Oh, Ryan.
How's everyone doing tonight?
Oh, we're doing very well. How about you?
Doing awesome, because he sent me some of the most saddest text messages. Did you get it all fixed?
No, I didn't get it all fixed yet.
Is it that bad?
I had no. Look, it was really bad. It was really bad.
So sorry,
but I think I got it doable, except for there's a minute and 20 seconds that we're going to have to redo. More or less, Dawson's going to have to redo because it's just...
Oh, did you already tell him? Does he know the bad news?
He knows he knows, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we had some fun editing issues this week with the episode. But otherwise, it turned out great, right? Did you get through it all?
Yeah, yeah. No, like I said, it's not perfect because there was one time where like I had my mic on mute and you couldn't hear, so I had to, I had to do a lot of magical editing this week.
Listen, the key is that we had fun, right?
Hey, we had a great time, man.
Yeah,
I didn't have a great time editing it, but we had a great time doing it.
Right.
I enjoyed your show with Noah. That was good. That guy's got some. He knows some stuff, doesn't he, Noah?
Isn't he awesome? Yeah.
Yep, he is.
We really
He knows
liked him a lot.
stuff. And I liked his story about what the company he worked for allowed you to bring your own devices or computers or something in, and then they liked what he did, and then he just panicked because they asked him to put him on all the other servers, and they sent him to a Red Hat course.
Yep.
That's just awesome.
Yep. Definitely sees those moments for sure.
Yeah.
And, yeah,
Ryan.
he was fantastic. This week's or next week's episode is going to be the most exciting one for me, just to see Rocco sweat a little bit.
I am not going to be sweating.
You're going to sweat a little bit.
I am not going to be sweating. I'm going to come right out and say it.
What have you done to him?
Well, wait, Ryan. I made a deal that you might not like.
Uh-oh. We have a new sponsor?
No, but
No.
we would wear Linux is Everywhere t-shirts if Michael would wear Destination Linux t-shirts in his stream. We would wear them for the Destination Linux stream.
Oh, yeah? Is he sending us some? Because if you
Right?
sent me one, I would wear it. I would
Right,
wear
Mike?
it even for my other videos, man. I don't know if you'd want that, but I would. But if you're going to make me pay for one, I mean, come on.
Well, I gotta pay for the Destination Linux shirt.
Yeah.
It's true. I like,
Well,
like
I
it
was.
when I'm not paying and you are. You look richer. You're fine.
No, definitely not.
I've got to talk
I
to
didn't buy a whole brand new Ryzen
Wow.
CPU or anything.
He went there.
Yeah, the wife's thrilled about that one too, by the way.
Yeah, I'm sure she is.
Especially on the upgraded motherboard that just went in it this week again.
Ooh. Yeah. Sure she's thrilled about that.
Yep, loves it.
I was very keen to buy one of your cups and your shirts until I discovered that just getting it over here would cost more than the cup and the shirt itself. So just buying my time a little bit. So I still want.
We're having to figure out. We want to figure something out. I think the Teespring thing is kind of a nice starter way of getting merchandise to people.
Yep.
At the end, you kind of want to go, if you can, and order enough shirts when you have enough confidence that people actually buy it, and have them made from an actual facility, because Teespring makes it nice because there's no upfront cost to the creator. But I don't think the quality is okay. But I would love to do our own stuff eventually, and then obviously we could make it cheaper for things like shipping and stuff like that. So
It's probably an Australia thing, is it?
oh yeah, certainly. Anytime international, they charge an arm and a leg, which
they do.
If we were to ship it ourselves, it wouldn't cost anywhere near what they're charging you to ship it to you.
Yep.
So
All right.
we talk about it all the time. We really just want to get them out to people, but you've got to order generally like 200 or 300 at a time.
Yep.
So you're taking a big risk if you
You
do
also
that.
gotta, figure out if it's a good product, because they'll be like, you can pay $5 a shirt, but if they make a terrible shirt, then what's the point?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's hopefully one day I can, because I want to buy it to support you guys, but I'll just see what comes in the future anyway. But
Yeah, we appreciate it. But
Yeah, but you don't want to support us at $100 shipping either. Okay, so
it better be the nicest darn shirt you ever put on your body.
I mean, this is a pretty good shirt, just to say.
where's my cup at? Darn it!
Where can we get one of those shirts?
Exactly.
Where can we get one of those shirts?
Oh, tuxdigital.com/Linux is everywhere.
Wow.
I didn't advertise. He
Right.
asked. I
You
was
just
being
answered
polite.
a question, right? You were being
Exactly.
truthful.
Innocently answered a question.
Being
He asked
polite.
where he could get it.
Besides
so.
all the lies you were throwing out in your own stream that you were.
Yeah, let me
throwing
send you the email he sent me. $5 if you mention my shirt on stream. He sent it out to everybody who joined.
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, he's paying me in Rocket League crates.
Actually,
New
yeah. I'll
form
give
of
you
extortion.
if you want. Sure.
Doesn't
I have a
sound
bunch
like
of
it, really.
Zeb, what's going on, man?
I don't think you can hear me, can you?
Yeah, we can.
Oh, you
It's our
can.
producer.
Okay. Yeah, good morning. I don't know what went wrong this morning, but my alarm clock never went off. So,
It's unexcusable, Zeb.
We're not going to put up with this.
I think this clock's going forward rubbish put me off as well, because I think my brain was going, yeah, 3:30, get up. But it's 2:30 now, of course.
Well, that's right. We have to change the time again, don't we?
Yep,
this evening
tonight.
in the U.S.
Yeah. We get an extra hour. Woohoo!
Who's on daylight savings? US is now, is it? Are you on daylight savings?
We are going back an hour.
Off of it. We're going off of it.
I think there are
At
only
2
like
a.m.
1 or 2 states that are not.
Oh yeah,
but-
because you've finished your summer, haven't you? Yeah.
1 or 2 smart states that don't.
State on
Arizona
standard
doesn't
time.
do it at all.
And
Well,
I think Indiana,
I know they do it.
they do?
So
Okay.
2 a.m. is going to become 1 a.m.?
Yes,
Pretty much.
at
Yeah.
2 a.m. So we're going to repeat 1 a.m.
So what was 2:30 for us is going to be 1:30.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think I won't be going to bed instead. There's no point.
No, there's no point.
It'd be like bed at 6 p.m. to get up at 1 a.m. No, I'll just do a 24-hour.
Oh, part of Indiana doesn't change.
Wow.
That's
Well,
even
I used to live in the east in Melbourne, and they had daylight savings. But now I'm living in the west. They don't have daylight savings. They trialled it, and everyone said, "Get rid of that thing."
Yeah.
So they don't do it in the west.
It's
So you don't
absolutely
really-
worthless. Like
I was
no
going
one
to
likes
say,
it. No one.
It is.
likes
It's ridiculous.
there's no point or purpose anymore. Maybe years ago there was a purpose, but there is
No,
no
there
purpose
wasn't even
anymore.
then. There wasn't even then.
I mean,
It
what
was
it
a
did
faux
was it did standardize everybody's time. That was in like
time zones have a
1966.
They have a
Somewhere
purpose
in
for
there.
time zones, and like when I'm such a nerd. I watched a
Really?
documentary about the creation of time zones, and it was really interesting. Okay,
That's a
and
good use of time.
yes, exactly. and, thank you. And I also watched. Anyway, they were talking about like the problem they had was all these different cities had different times. So you would like ride a train, and the trains would have different times. You would get into leave one city, and then they'd be off by like 15 minutes or something, just like random weirdness. And the guy who was doing the narration said, you could totally do this and keep track if you're a mathematician. Otherwise, you're screwed. And then they created time zones, and the guy who invented time zones spent 20 years trying to convince people to use time zones.
It was done because of the railroads, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean the time zones were created because of the railroads. Because
Right.
railroads made it so that you could travel more, and if everybody who didn't leave their own city, it didn't matter what time differences were. But since you started traveling a lot, it did matter. So it was because the addition of the railroads, and also each train company had their own time difference. So if you went from you leave one city, you get on the train, it has a new time. You stop in another city, that has a new time. You get into another train company, and that has a new time. Then you get at the city you wanted to go to, and that has a new time. And you could have just like moved 20 miles.
And be in the same longitude.
Yeah, the same, pretty much same everywhere, except like you could pick like whatever direction you go. You say essentially the same place where you kind of started, as far as like longitude or latitude, and it would be just massively different by like an hour or two. So he created this time zone system, and the daylight savings time is just absolute stupid. Like a lot of people think it's because farmers hate it.
It doesn't make a difference to farmers. It doesn't make a difference to
hate
livestock and to animals. They don't care.
No, they hate the animals don't care, but the farmers hate it. And people
I know it.
It's that farmers wanted this. And like, no, the guy who invented it was a German who wanted to study butterflies more. And that's actually true. And
So what happens on the farms? The cows don't milk on time, or what's the deal there?
they don't care. They don't pay attention to the time at all.
Yeah.
I think all they care about is how much you're petting them or not.
Do the
And
cows
feeding them.
care about Linux?
Feeding? What, really?
Do the cows care about
I
Linux?
don't think so.
No, but the penguins do.
Yes.
They both have this. They're both in the same kind of. One of them looks like a tuxedo, and the other one looks like kind of spotted, a little bit.
Some of them can be
I
brown.
think you can confuse the two because they have similar color patterns.
Only if you're a hunter from Jersey.
The
from New
cow's
Jersey.
like OS ox.
Then they mistake Holsteins for deer.
I tried.
Calaris, is that what it is? We're gonna make that.
Hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
Hannah Montana.
I knew that was going to come up.
You're a vegetarian and you like Hannah Montana Linux. That was an
We're not
awesome
bringing that
comment
up.
in your stream.
That's what happened. Yeah, they were a little mean to me.
So, Ryan, shall we talk about the 5 gaming mice in Linux?
Do it, man, because not one of them's a Logitech.
The what? Gaming
It made me
mice?
pretty happy.
Well, we did talk about this in Destination Linux, but there's a article on Make Tech Easier, and it's talking about the 5 top gaming mice in Linux, and Logitech doesn't even show in the top 5.
Wow.
I don't understand that at all.
So
Isn't
is
Logitech like
Myonix in
the
there?
biggest brand for it?
Well, these are you got the Rocot Cone,
Never heard of it.
Zowie FK2,
Never heard
the
of it.
Razer Death Adder, the
I heard
Razer Naga, and the Corsair M65.
So I've heard 2 of them.
And
Okay.
yeah, what I don't
I've heard of
understand
the last
is,
3.
well, there's comments like this one doesn't support Linux, but they do give a nod to people. This one doesn't support Linux, but there's an open source project that you can get around with it. And I'm thinking to myself, the only reason that you might not put Logitech on here is because they don't support open source, and I mean they don't make software for Linux. But none of these do really either. None of these,
and Logitech has kernel support.
and they work out of the box on Linux without any problems. Now, I've always been a vocal person against Logitech for not giving you software so that you can like change the buttons and change your colors and all that. But
But
not
nobody
even-
does. Funny enough, on the list, the only exception was
Yeah.
Razer, where they still don't, but there is a lot of community support for Razer. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of applications out there for Razer, but it's not like Razer went out and did it themselves. There's really nobody on the list, including the Zowie or anybody. They did mention, was it Rocket Cat or something, gives a nod to Linux, like
yeah,
they say
that was
hi
the
or
one.
something to us on their
Rocot
webpage.
Cone.
Yeah,
They take off their fedora and like.
But the
My sir.
Logitech G500 is a great mic. It's a great mouse.
Yep. Well, the G5, the one previous to that, Zeb, was an awesome mouse.
Mhm.
And the only reason that I didn't purchase the G500 was because after I had the G5 for so long, I mean, it lasted for years, and it was my favorite mouse. And by the time the G5 broke, they didn't make the G500 anymore. They were on to other mice. So that's why I didn't buy it. But the G502 is awesome.
So the question is, what does everybody use for mice?
I have a Naus 3200 optical.
What is that?
NAOS 3200 by Myonix. I heard about Myonix before the whole tech level 1 techs broke away from Tech Syndicate. They had branded mice with Tech Syndicate logos. Mine's like the lower end of the series, but it has 3 DPI levels, and it works out of the box on Linux. And I can switch between them, and my middle mouse wheel actually switches. I don't have enough cable here to show it, I don't think, but if you see here, the blue, and then green, and then red. Red is slow, and green is like the middle ground, and then blue, it moves super fast. So, I mean, I haven't tried the little utility in Wine or anything, but in my
You don't
word,
need it to if it's going to work.
no. Yeah, I mean, and this mouse doesn't have a whole lot of configuration to it anyway. So it's pretty much red, green, and blue.
There was a
And
Myonix
it's cool.
mouse I was looking at before, because I'm pretty sure Hardware Canucks talks about the Myonix. I just didn't hear of the Naus, so I'm I can't remember.
There's like the 3200. There's a 5000 something. I think there's another one up. And as you go up, you get like RGB glowing and fun stuff. And I think you get more mouse configuration. I just stick with the basic. I have 2 buttons on my thumb, and I just keep them basic for my web browser back and forward. But they're configurable in games like Borderlands 2. I have it set for my melee, so while I'm doing stuff, I can just mash my thumb and beat people with a sword.
Yep.
It's a good plan.
Yep.
Do they make a wireless one?
I have a regular notebook mouse that is terrible.
Really? Why? Because you don't need anything else?
Use the keyboard.
I don't care.
I'll be back. I'll be back.
I've got.
Okay.
I've never had a good mouse. That's what it is.
I'm starting to get RSI, so I'm having to use one of these things, the general computer use.
I've seen one of those before.
Yeah.
How does it take a lot to get used to, man?
It took me about a week, and now I can flick between the two. But when I go back to a standard mouse, I do get RSI very, very quickly now. It is so much more comfortable in this position.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, because you're naturally sitting with your hand like that instead of that. So.
Mm-hmm.
Does it have a trackball? Is that what that is?
Is
it like a?
Does it have a trackball?
No. It's an ordinary laser mouse. It's got a you can't really see it. It's a bit dark in here. Isn't it?
Oh.
You just move it
around in that position.
Oh,
it's got a button on the top to change the DPI.
That's crazy.
You've got your usual buttons on the side for your fingers.
It's like a joystick.
A couple of buttons there.
But not.
For your thumb. So your hand sits on it like that. And it's got a little wrist rest so that you're moving your whole arm, not just your wrist, to maneuver it.
So you're moving the whole, and with the little pad thingy, right?
Yeah.
Say again?
Yeah. That little pad that's on the bottom of it, the whole thing moves.
Yeah, this bottom bit is attached to it. So
yeah, that's what I thought.
You have to move your whole arm to get it to move rather than just your wrist. And yeah, it feels much more comfortable.
It's a good idea.
So in a gaming world, not necessarily for those just using it to do normal everyday tasks, but there is some importance to it there too, especially maybe like Michael, if you're doing any graphical arts and that type of thing. For websites, I don't know if you do that, but that would be where it would come in. But a lot of times people will tell you that, well, the whole DPI thing was kind of a marketing setup. It's not that it's not important, but it's used to give a number to the general public so that they go, ooh, I have 10,000 DPI, therefore my mouse is better. And you'll start finding as you get to these mice, that's why you have kind of the off-brand mice that will claim ridiculous amounts of DPI. And a lot of times they can hit that, but when you use it for gaming, it's still a really crappy mouse because of the lift distance, because of the ability of it to track, because of the lift-off sensitivity, and of course how the buttons react. And some of that is personal preference, and some of that is, based on the type of games and things that you play, of how you want your lift-off distance and everything else to matter. So my only advice, if you're wanting to get a good mouse for gaming, is to not just look at DPI, because that's more of just a number they've given out to the public to make people think that's all that matters. It matters a little bit.
DPI is all that matters, dude. It's all that matters.
But yeah, on the
I'm
ergonomics.
Make a T-shirt. DPI is all that matters.
On those ergonomics, a lot of people talk about, do you claw? Do you just use your fingers, or do you lay your whole hand on it and use more? And how I chose this mouse is I eventually came across a Logitech M50. It was given to me. It was a nice heavy mouse, a great big brick, but it fit my long fingers. And so when that died, I had to pick one. So this mouse is a little lighter, but it has a nice wide base and even has the little, it's like molded. So my fingers fit real nice. Yeah. And
as a left-hander, that's a death sentence.
I was just going to say
that.
Being left-handed, that's a
it takes a lot of options off of the market. But
yes.
So I mean, a lot of things like the tracking and acceleration when I was using Razors, for instance, and Logitechs, but I didn't have the nice ones you guys have. Honestly, as Logitech wise, I had the nice Razors like the Namba and some of the others. It was the kind of the acceleration and the jitteriness of the mouse that I noticed in comparison to the Zowie, which doesn't have that.
Does that say
when I
Microsoft
stop
on it?
the Zowie, it just stops. Like there's no additional movement to it.
Yep.
And when I accelerate, it goes with the speed and then it stops. There's just that to me is what makes it so much more precise. As far as the DPI standard, technically the Logitechs and the Razors actually have higher DPI in some cases, depending which one you get, than the Zowie FK2. But Rocco, to follow up on the article, we did do some further research on this and found 23 pro gamers that we looked at the mice that they use. And I had to eat my words a little bit because Logitech was on there a couple times. Zowie was on there a couple times. Razer was on there a couple times. And was that it? I think that was it. For the article that you had picked up, yeah. Now, again, none of us are pro gamers. Well, obviously Rocco and I are close, but
I mean, we are really close.
People will start asking us what mouse we use, Rocco.
Somebody's going to ask me one day. Somebody's going to ask me.
So they don't buy that mouse for Rocco.
Pete, what mouse do you use?
Just a boring.
I'm not picking up audio on Zoom.
We can hear you.
Pete, just what do you use?
I can hear you all through the stream, but I can't hear you through Zoom.
You may have to select your audio from the audio settings there. They may be on the wrong.
You might need to unban them, Rocco.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try this one more time.
Make sure you don't have your microphone on mute.
Let's try this one more time, Pete. Go ahead.
Just a boring USB mouse.
Actually, come on, man. See, it is a Logitech.
Yeah. It's a Logitech.
Yeah, my mice are very complicated. As long as it clicks, I'm happy.
What the heck is that?
Dynex.
That's classic.
That's like,
never heard of it.
They sell them at Best Buy for like really cheap.
It's a classic. You're okay.
Yeah. Hey, does it work? It works for you. That's all that counts. I can't find mine, but yes, I use a Logitech wireless. And when I was teaching, I found that they were really good because when a kid got mad at you and threw it across the room, it still worked.
So they're a bit like a good distro that works. You need a boring mouse. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So has anybody tried a trackball?
Yep.
A long time ago.
Yeah, definitely. Back
in a land
90s,
far, far away.
Yeah, same for me.
I want to
running Hannah Montana Linux, huh?
I think that's a requirement.
Did anybody play the original Team Fortress? Half-Life? Team Fortress? I knew one guy that was a sniper in that, and he had a trackball, and it was one of those really long bases with the two buttons on either side and the giant red ball.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember those.
That guy was a badass. I don't know how he did it. I tried, couldn't do it.
Like trackballs I used to use trackballs for they were kind of expensive. They probably aren't anymore, but I used to use trackballs for like precision of design and editing and stuff like that, and it was really nice.
So why'd you stop using it?
Oh, it broke.
Okay.
Oh, Logitech TrackMan. They still make them.
That's why I like the G500 laser mouse, because when you want to do really fine work, I just turn the sensitivity right down to the absolute minimum. So I have to move my hand about 4 inches for it to move just an inch on the screen. And you can really pinpoint stuff.
Hey, there I am. I found it.
Nice.
Welcome.
I always I like KDE, but it does not like doing this type of audio conferencing.
Imagine that.
As someone who's
I've heard
Plasma right now, how dare
I think I've heard that before.
Yeah, I mean it works. He's got to tinker with it. The thing.
Oh, hey.
Who did that?
He's showing the prowess of Plasma.
Have you seen that thing?
Yeah, in the Star Trek.
Did you look at it?
It's a trigger trackball mouse, and I used to have one of these, and I loved it.
That's ridiculous.
And the trigger stopped working.
I think your problem, Tom, is probably Mint has already started disassembling their Plasma desktop. Maybe that's your problem.
Well, I would say that, except I haven't been on it for a while, and consequently, I have not run updates for a month. So,
Hey, when you switch, when you have multiple audio inputs and outputs, and you switch with KDE, it's a nightmare. I'm sorry.
yeah. I gotta say that's what I really liked about running Budgie for a couple weeks, is because running Budgie, it was just like you just go in the Raven menu and click, done.
Yes.
It's awesome.
Well, there's an extension for GNOME that I run for that, and it does the same exact thing. So,
Oh, cool. Yeah, I mean it's fixable. It's not a real big hassle. In that case, what happened is the zoom was just turned way down, and that's what happened. I'm not sure how that occurred, but it did.
But yeah, you need to swap, Tom, to a 17.10 based Ubuntu. I've tried a lot of them now, and they are all very, very good. It bodes well for 1804. I think 1804 could be as good as 1404.
Right.
They are that good at the moment.
Yeah,
And
I didn't care for the beta much. A lot of it is I hate the GNOME desktop. So I should probably just go with another environment. But
I'm using Ubuntu Budgie at the moment, and it's working really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm still deciding what I want to run on this computer next. As I try and change I distro hop on this one, so I get a chance to run with different systems. So I don't want to do a Budgie again just because I just finished one. So I don't know.
I don't know. I'm happy with Ubuntu Mate, so as everyone seems to know.
I'm still figuring out what I want to put on mine too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I keep my production on Cinnamon, but
I put on mine a year and a half ago.
mm-hmm.
So
what are you
many
running,
choices.
Michael?
A Neon.
Neon. Good.
So are you still running Neon, Michael?
Yep. Same install since April of last year.
And do you run the developer Git or just a plain user?
Both.
Okay.
But as far as my main machine, just the regular user one.
How was the package manager? What's the name of that package manager? Not Muon, the other one. What's the other one?
Discover.
Is that Discover? Is that got any better or not?
Not really.
No, it hasn't.
Well,
Can I answer for him? No, it hasn't.
To be fair, the answer is like maybe 5% better, but like not really.
Really?
So that's no then.
That's a no.
The update system has improved from what it used to be, but no, it's still painful.
So do they not? Do they not develop that thing, or they're busy working on other things?
It's being written from scratch. That's the problem. They shipped it when it wasn't really ready. They're like,
okay.
we're gonna deprecate Muon and then replace it. But what they replaced it with was not ready to be replacing something that's been around for so long, because Muon was being replaced because of the KDE 4 to 5 framework switch.
Right.
It made it complicated, and they just kind of just threw it in there.
Complicated is a very nice way to say it.
Well, I suppose you got to accept that if you're running KDE Neon, which is more of a test development distro, isn't it? Really, at the end of the day.
Yes and no. I mean, it's more intention for test. Yeah.
Yeah.
They have two different branches. They have
it's still supposed to be testing technically, but yeah, kind of.
Okay.
It's not meant for like everyday regular users kind of stuff, but it's also not anti those people. So it's just like it expects you to have at least a little bit of experience, but very little. You don't need a ton. You just need some.
They do have a long-term support distro.
I was going to say,
technically no. I mean, that's not all of Neon is LTS Ubuntu. They also have an LTS Plasma version.
Okay.
So, like when people say that they have an Neon has LTS, it's like, well, they're always LTS. It's just they also have an extra version that's LTS Plasma.
Yeah, the other version, Plasma, is always up to date, right?
Yeah, Plasma, the whole KDE stack is up to date. So it's Neon stable, Ubuntu stable with KDE rolling stack, and then the LTS version of Plasma also has rolling stack of applications, but the Plasma doesn't change.
Yeah.
Yeah, what you said.
But it's not for everybody.
It's not.
And
It's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody, except for everyone who is paying attention right now.
I'm paying attention. I'm just multitasking.
I'm paying attention.
So
You
is
should
it-
use it. Except for don't have to. Whatever. I like Plasma, but not because out of the box Plasma is bad. It's bad. But it's so powerful and flexible. Like a power user, Plasma is fantastic. This person who just wants to get it out of the way and doesn't want to fiddle with it, they give you some work there. In fact, some of their I've had people tell me that I'm like the KDE like enthusiast or whatever, and that's true. But
Totally true.
it's totally true. But there are certain parts of it that I cannot stand. The default shortcuts for Plasma are not only are some of them bad, some are straight up stupid, and their reasoning for using them is incredibly bad. Like opening KRunner is Alt space by default, and every other DE in every operating system, including Windows, Alt space opens your context menu of your window that you are currently using. That is a normal standard. And the reason why they chose to use Alt space for KRunner is because Mac does for Spotlight.
Well, of course. If
And you're
Mac
like,
does
yeah,
it.
that exactly, because the Ubuntu or KDE Plasma look exactly like Mac. They expect it to be exactly the same because reasons.
I guess on my Mac I don't use Spotlight, so
Well, it's not a common thing for Mac users because a lot.
Yeah.
Apple doesn't even tell a lot of people that they have that. They don't promote it or anything. But there's also another one that's way worse. And because the Alt space is not used as the context menu, what is used as context menu is Alt F3.
So awkward to use.
So dumb.
So weird.
Maybe it was designed for people with short fingers because Alt space is very easy to get to, isn't it?
Control space is also super easy, which is the standard for launchers. Synapse, Kupfer, GNOME, all of them.
So what is control space on
Nothing.
Plasma?
That was Alt F2.
Well, look what I'm going to go change.
So
How
what
is
reason
it, how
do they
easy,
have
Michael, is it to change that?
Nothing. Where do you change
How
it?
easy
Oh,
to
system
change?
setting.
You can change it?
You can change everything in Plasma. I think the defaults are dumb, but I change them and I still get the benefits of Plasma because I get to keep stuff that's good and remove the stuff that's bad. And there are a lot of things that it's funny is people were like, Plasma doesn't have this. You can't use SuperKey to open your menu, and that was like a problem for a very long time until like 5.9. What the key shortcut used to be was Alt F1. And that's ridiculous. And what's hilarious is that GNOME used to use Alt F1. XFCE used to use Alt F1. Plasma for a long time. And even Windows used Alt F1 in the 90s. And Plasma never changed it. And they were like, well, people were used to it. Like, no, they're not. Like, that's why you've had years of people saying, hey, use the super key, please. And that's why an application was made specifically, and only it does is just make the super key work.
Yes, K super key. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't
there's a reason why
isn't
that
default
exists.
work now? I thought.
Do
I was
what?
pretty sure the super key by default now works without.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
super key
5.9 was the first version it worked.
Yep. Yeah, I remember fighting with it when I first installed this because I installed this before 5.9, and I remember fighting with super key. And then it got working, and then it stopped working when the update came, and then
What is
I
the
had to take
deal?
out.
What is the deal with any of these desktops wanting to own the super key and not let you use it?
Plasma had a functionality issue why I didn't do it. Like that was a different issue. Plasma's thing was to use Control, Shift, Alt, and Super as modifiers, and they were all used for just modifiers. And basically, no one used anything other than Super as its own key. And because it was designed to have all modifiers, and then Unity started using Alt as its own key, which created another issue that people wanted. So like there was these very rare situation where anyone actually used any other key other than Super. So they had a system that had all modifier stuff, and people just wanted Super to work anyway. So what's interesting is that the Super key actually does work because it was modified to compensate for this. So they built in some software inside of Plasma that just, when you hit the Super key, it catches that key combination by itself and then sends the signal of Alt F1 to the actual menu. So you're not even using the Super to open the menu. You're using Alt F1 through Super. It still works.
Great.
It's weird and clunky, but it works. And that's why if you go into your menu and you change it, like if you look at it, it says Alt F1 is your shortcut, but it's really Super. You can use both of them, but that's what, if you hit Super, it goes, oh, Alt F1. Okay, cool. So that's the way they compensated for it.
Wow.
Well, it's good to see that the Ubuntu Mate now uses the Super key for the RISC menu, which is quite good. You really do need that because I think it's a bit of a standard these days. Although it only works on three of the desktop types. The other three don't use it. That's the same with the heads up and the heads up display and the global menu.
So where can I get a wireless keyboard that has a penguin instead of the Windows key as the meta symbol?
That would be so nice.
3D printer.
WASD or DOS key. I think WASD keyboards.
Unixstickers.com.
There you go.
Yes, that's the alternative. That's what I did.
Oh, that's all I can think of.
That sounds good.
That's what I did because I got
You know
tired of
anybody
seeing
that's
that
got a
window
3D
key.
printer, Tom?
What's that?
Ryan did.
You know, actually, there's kind of a tech entrepreneur downtown State College that one of the things he did is he invented he invested in a 3D printer, and now he has workshops for people that he won't teach people how to use them, but he makes it available for people wanting to study it on their own. So I would technically have access to a 3D printer should I want to learn how to do that. That would be interesting.
That'd be a good route to go. I bet you can sell them too with no problem if you wanted to.
Well, the problem is though, is I have 3 different keyboards right here, and every one of them is a completely different key. These two might be the same.
My keyboard is like
might be the same.
boring Dell one. It's got all the Super stuff.
You know, I just discovered some settings. You're going to laugh at this, but I finally trashed this operating system the other day. It was working fine, but I trashed the menu in it and couldn't figure out how to fix it because I was trying to change some of the, when you load up in the Mate menu, they've got the application list. And I went in there and I was trying to move something within the list and it didn't go right. And it's like it was hanging. Instead of waiting, I backed out while I wound up getting rid of the whole application list, and I didn't know how to get it back. So I redid the whole operating system. I tried going to Ubuntu Mate, and honestly, I still didn't like it. So I'm back on what I was on before. I don't know if I'll ever get off this thing, but now I've loaded Zoom in here, and I changed some settings, and then it says, oh, use dual monitors. I got 2 monitors. That's why I dropped out and came back in over here, because I'm going, what the heck's going on? Michael was as big as what on one screen, and I'm going, where's all the other guys?
That was the perfect
I didn't realize I had, it actually, what it does is it opens up the tiled window, and it opens up a full-blown window of whoever you're focused on. I didn't know any of this, so I'm finding out the hard way, I guess.
Yeah, you got to choose the gallery up top there so everyone...
So you can get everybody on the screen.
If I was to share what I have right now, I've got 2 monitors. I'm actually looking on the main monitor where my camera's at the tiled view or the gallery view. But I also have, Barb is sitting on this other window because she was the last one to say something as its own window. So when you choose dual monitors, apparently it opens up 2 windows. One's a full screen of whoever talked last, and the other one's tiled.
I don't know. I'm using 2 monitors, and I'm not having that.
No, it's a setting. It's a setting that I had within the settings. I started tweaking the settings within Zoom, and apparently I changed a bunch of things and I confused myself.
So you're back on Linux Mint, are you, Joe? Is that right? You said you're back to
Linux Mint 18.2 again. It's what I've been so comfortable with, and it's the only other thing now that's not working right, which is bothering me too. Which I don't know if this went bad, but this was my Xbox 360 receiver. And I tried plugging it into another computer, and it doesn't light up at all. So I'm hoping that's what it is. I've got another one that's supposed to be coming tomorrow, a different one, more like a stick, because my controller is not working. And if I can't use a controller when I'm gaming, I even tried going into Rocket League. Well, I tried that, but it's not working with it. Apparently,
keyboard and mouse.
Mm-hmm.
Keyboard and mouse.
No. Controller for sure.
Rocket League with a keyboard and mouse.
I try. Well,
that is a good idea if you don't want to be good at this game. So,
yeah, I don't have a gaming keyboard and mouse here, and I tried doing that. It was even more atrocious than with the key.
Oh, he's got a Brandon.
He's got an Ubuntu controller.
Where did you get that?
I made it.
You didn't.
Look, it's even got the little logo.
It does. That's awesome, dude.
You need to start selling those.
There it is. There it went low. Yeah, I could see it very well.
Well, I was watching.
Nice.
I was watching Sudo the other
night. Did you
night.
make it that way, Scrap? Did you seriously make it, or are you pulling our leg?
No, this is an actual DS3. It's a DualShock 3. I painted it. I had there was one of our Ubuntu locals, the girl that was our county local. We got together and she had a bunch of stickers. And I was into modding things, and I took apart this controller and I put one sticker across the front. You can kind of see a little bit where the sticker is. I tried to make it fit in the best I could, but I actually took the PlayStation logo out of this, and that little Ubuntu sticker fit perfectly right in there.
That is so awesome.
Booyah.
That's great.
I've just got a boring Xbox One. It works.
I got a Steam controller, so
I got one too.
The Steam controller work on? No, this is gonna don't shoot me. Does it work on the Windows side though too? If you want to,
oh yeah, it works everywhere.
Because I thought about just getting a new controller.
Everyone's answer should be, "We have no idea." I am so ashamed.
Where's Ryan at?
What?
Oh, that's right. I have.
So ashamed he took off his
Win
video.
don'ts.
Yeah, well,
Don'ts?
what's going on is I have in the settings people who don't have their video on. I have them so that they completely go off the screen if they turn off their video.
Oh,
so you didn't even see it. So
listen, I'm really embarrassed you guys were able to answer that question. I have no idea if Steam controller works in Windows.
Really? You have no idea?
So you haven't gone to the Steam
You have
page?
no idea?
No.
You've not played Call of Duty World War II beta? No?
Prove it.
You didn't try. I got a screenshot.
Don't prove it.
Hold on. I'm going to prove it right now. You wait.
I was trying to figure out why the whole Windows was taking my friend Rocco away, so I had to do some undercover work. That's the only reason you saw that.
Mm-hmm.
Infiltrating.
Once I find this screenshot, I'm going to prove it.
Rocco's going to be absent for 60 minutes now while he finds this damn thing.
Everyone else who's watching this is a good time to go get some popcorn.
Oh, look, I found it.
That was
okay. So let me
very quick
maximize this, and then I will share my screen.
This was during the time World War III came out, right? That game you like?
Look at that. Does that say DOS Geek in-game at Call of Duty World War II PC Open Beta? That is not able to play on Linux?
Ryan, that is weird.
Oh my gosh.
But notice
really?
it said Open Beta. No tux, no bucks still applies. I never bought it.
But that does imply that you have a Windows install that you play games on, or can.
I had to figure out why they were taking my friend Rocco away.
Don't know what's
It was
worse.
for your protection, Rocco.
Was it? Was it?
Yeah.
Did it for you.
Don't know what's worse, the fact that Das Geek uses Windows to play games, or that Rocco kept that screenshot.
Oh, he keeps using it every episode. It's
Well,
like
no,
his favorite prized possession.
I've put it in Destination Linux once or twice as blackmail.
6, 7, 8 times.
You got to do what you got to do. You know
All
what
right,
I'm
fine, Rocco.
I'm just
Good
saying.
luck with your show. I'm leaving.
He says, yes, but this is the same guy that says, I wouldn't know. I don't know if the Steam controller works on this.
The purist that's not pure.
But the thing is,
in
he
fairness,
wasn't
I never
using
used
the Steam
controller to
for
play
this.
that game.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Was the Steam controller worth it?
If you're willing to take the time to get used to it. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Michael. What were you saying?
I was just going to say, like, in some games it's amazing, in other games it's not worth it.
That's kind of a fair statement, but I would say that is a fair statement for a lot of controllers. I would say that if you pick up, most people are pretty used to the Xbox or PlayStation controllers, and it's not that. It's better, I think, in some ways.
Even.
In many
Platformers,
ways.
it's awesome.
But it is not, if you're playing it for a platformer game, it's amazing. If you're playing it for a mouse game because you want to replace your mouse, it can, it's just not great. But you can do it.
Yeah.
But I have found that the Xbox is better compatibility than the PS4 in most instances. You just install Xbox driver and it works. The PS4 is a lot of faffing about.
See, I didn't have to, when I first put this on, I didn't even have to install that driver and it worked. Now, when I tried to install it now, it actually was telling me there was some kind of error or whatever. So I don't know if it was, what it was is it was just flashing, but I think it was because it wasn't recognizing this. So
is the Xbox controller Bluetooth?
No.
No, I tried that to see if it would.
Yeah, well, I don't know because I don't play games. Like I have 2 games on an Xbox 360 that I like, and if I can get them running on Linux, I mean, I can completely dump that system. And now I have 2 controllers that I use with my RetroPie. You know, and I don't care about these new games. Give me Mario Brothers, man. I mean, come on. But,
you obviously haven't played Call of Duty World War II. I'm just saying.
No, I have not.
Do you think that's a good game, Rocco, honestly? Because a lot of people are giving it a lot of crap. And I was curious what you thought.
I think it's not as good as you would like it to be. Like it's hyped up to be a AAA, awesome, beautiful game. It is a AAA game, but it's not as awesome as I'd like it to be. But it is very fun to play. So.
You'd have to give me the servers that you play on because my daughter is a whiz at COD.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, even when she was like 14 and 15 years old, she was blowing me away left, right, and centre. And the servers that she plays on, she's always in the top 1, 2. She's having a bad day, she drops down to 3.
Well, I can get in the top 1 or 2 if it's a map that I know. And I'm not trying to snipe on a map that you should use a shotgun on or something like that. But yeah, so we'll have to play.
I can get in the top like 1 for Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare.
Nice. We'll have to play sometime.
Well, that's an Xbox thing only, and I don't have it on. So I can do that like 10 years ago.
My problem nowadays is the motion makes me feel sick, and I get all woozy and headachy. So after 20 minutes, that's it. I'm out.
You would love Rocket League.
I don't know, dude. I don't know.
The Portal.
There are times where Rocket League gives me gets me goofy.
Yeah.
Like I'm saying, I love the game, but I'm saying the actual graphics of the game sometimes it's very wonky. Sometimes, like especially when you don't have ball cam on, I can't do it. I can't do it simply because of the way the screen moves.
I know a guy who ball cam off and no ball cam on.
It's tough, man. I'm just saying.
You can adjust.
It's really weird because you have to get used to be able to adjust turning it back on and off. But I was just kidding anyway because Rocket League is I still have like not motion sickness or anything, but like I'll get dizzy a couple times if the ball's like going right above me and I'm not having to spin like find where I am because I was just playing this evening and the ball went above me and I was like, and this guy hit me and then after the ball got cleared out of the way, I realized I had no idea where I was at all.
That happens.
Is there a demo of Rocket League?
No, there's not.
Sometimes they have a free play weekend.
Yeah, they have a free to play sometimes, but they also have they go on sale pretty often. So like the Black Friday sale is probably when it comes out the end of the month, they're probably gonna have it.
Yeah.
They usually drop it down to like $12.
It's cheap.
So for you would probably be like 8, 9.
Okay, we'll have to wait and see.
Well, I was watching Sudo Reboot during the week, and he's set up his steering wheel and his accelerator for his Euro truck. He was, I don't know where he said he had that thing for quite a while, and he reckons it works well in Linux. So he was a bit all over the road though with the steering wheel, I must say, getting used to it.
Oh no, Codemasters released some of their Dirt video games, and they have full support for wheels and pedals and things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Dirt Rally.
Yep.
I could never get used to a steering wheel. I play much better with a controller.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I can play with both, but neither of them are must-have. Like I don't have to have the steering wheel to play to have fun. So
I don't play. I just watch. That's more fun.
Sometimes,
especially watching Zeb. It's good fun watching Zeb, I must say.
Yeah, well, mine's not proper Euro Truck Simulator. Mine is more wacky races.
Yeah.
I just want to race this thing as fast as it goes. I mean, there's a couple of streams up there, and I don't know what was going on with this truck, but I got it up to about 160 mile an hour. And I just clipped the back of a car, and it did a 360, if not a 720, jumped over the motorway, landed on its tyres, and I kept driving it. I was like, wow, that's never happened before.
Didn't I see that scene in Terminator 2?
Yeah, absolutely. That's me in Euro Truck Simulator. I can't do this 55 mile an hour. Oh, I want to switch lanes. Tick, 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 tick. Move over, turn it off, drive another 200 miles in 4 hours. Nah, that's not.
And what was your word, Zeb? I'll take that one. I'll take that one.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard GTA? Sounds like you're trying to turn that into GTA.
Yeah, in a truck.
I want them to provide an off-road mod, because then it'll be really interesting. But no, if I like hitting things, sounds like Rocket League's got a bit of way to go.
Yeah.
No, all you're doing is hitting things in Rocket League.
Yeah, that's pretty much all you're doing.
Yeah. You're hitting the ball, or you're hitting your opponents, or sometimes your teammates.
That's the one.
That's Rotten's Rocket League car.
That's me without the pipe.
Wow. Mike's.
I would totally rock that.
All we need is a little Muttley sound, isn't it? Is it Muttley that was in the Wacky Races?
He was with Dastard at Dastardly.
Band, that's right.
Yeah.
I was waiting for Michael to do that one. He's normally king of the voices.
I've never seen that.
I was going to say he might not remember it.
Gee, Yogi, I don't think Ranger Smith would like this.
I mean, I get that one, but I've never seen that other one.
That's okay. All you gotta do is look it up. Yeah, Dick Dastardly.
Yep,
Dick Dastardly.
Will do.
Catch that pigeon.
We've got the perfect character for Das Geek, and he's Hannah Montana. You can be the Lady Penelope.
Yes, Penelope Pitstop. You know
that's the lady.
Penelope Pitstop Linux distro. That would be a good one.
You know, when I mentioned Hannah Montana a couple of months ago, I didn't think it was going to grow this type of traction, but there was somebody else talking about Hannah Montana Linux 2 recently on another channel. And I don't know
I'm waiting for an updated, desktop of that. Come on, guys.
They don't have to.
Yeah.
Don't look at me.
Someone will probably make one.
Yeah, I think they would just be a hoot.
What about a wallpaper
it's up to you.
background?
It's up to you.
A few picky colours, a few picky themes in a wallpaper background, and a picture of Miley Cyrus. That'll work.
Ugh, Miley Cyrus.
On XFCE. I'm sure that's customizable, so I'm sure we could get that done.
No, I think I actually found your eraser, Michael, because you think so highly of yourself.
I do not.
It's Peter Perfect.
Rocco, did you see the message I sent you?
I did not. I'm actually having trouble with my Chrome. Did I say that?
Okay, there it is.
Chrome
It just
window?
went back. Yeah, it just
My
went.
Chrome?
I figured.
Have you heard of Firefox?
But the Zoom window was down smaller, but it's back to normal.
That's because people keep sharing the screen. And every time somebody shares the screen, it goes from full screen to a window. So then I have to go back.
Sorry.
So the share, like my share screen, I didn't share it, but it's highlighted in green right now. Is that the way they're supposed to be?
When
Yeah,
somebody
mine is
shares the
too.
screen, it highlights it in green. But like I said, it takes the one window that I'm recording on and makes it instead of full
moves
screen,
it
it
around.
makes a window. So
Okay.
then I gotta put it back. Put it back.
What about?
'Cause I still have two windows open here. I don't know how to close one. Every time I do, it says you're going to leave the meeting. So I don't know what's changed in here.
That's weird, Rock. I don't have an issue in XFCE.
Huh? Imagine that.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, I think it's the dual monitor setting in Zoom settings. If you uncheck the dual monitor settings, it should only be one window for you.
I did that and it didn't change it. So I don't know if I got to go out and come in for it to take care of itself or what. But
Hey, Rocco, I got a tip for you too. I know you're trying XFCE out on one of your computers,
You good? Go ahead.
and you like that GNOME splash screen.
Mm-hmm.
XF dashboard.
Yeah,
but
that's a
you're
good one.
right. You're right. But the last time I tried that, something went wrong when I tried that. You're right. I'm gonna have to look at
I'm
that
using
again.
it right now.
Is it
I don't-
working?
It's not my favorite thing, but yeah, it works perfectly, and you can customize it to look very similar. I mean, it's not exactly, but very similar to the GNOME one.
I've got that running on Linux Lite 3.6, and it's running quite well. But that was a PPA. But MX has it in the back ports, the XF dashboard.
Software.
Is it in the regular?
It's in the software store.
Okay.
And then-
Also, there's a dashboard in Plasma you should check out.
Is anyone actually, Michael, do you know if anyone's actually developing or actively developing the XF dashboard, or is that not being developed anymore? It'd be nice if they could tweak it a bit more.
XFCE is not developing it, but there is a third-party thing doing it.
Okay.
I don't know if there's how active they are.
Yeah.
Active XFCE.
Hey,
But it's actually not bad at all. Like
It works on the Mate desktop too.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
when Rocco finally tests XFCE proper and puts out a little video on it, if you go to the Hannah Montana download page, there is a Hannah Montana Linux theme pack. Icons.
That's
So he can convert the whole of his XFCE to Hannah Montana for you.
Looks like they just released a new version of XF. Development version was released on 9/19/2017, so they're still developing for it.
That's good.
Oh, cool. Apparently, Comcast got wind of my tinfoil hat time tonight and killed my internet. So.
They want you to use Windows so they can spy on you.
Yeah, good luck.
They're already on your
They
internet
probably just,
pipeline.
They probably just have like a roulette wheel, and it's like, oh, Tom messed up his now. Okay.
It's like at least once a day now. Like I'm paying so much for such crappy internet. Now it might also, in all fairness, it might be time to upgrade my modem. I bought that thing in 2005.
You might want to watch the South Park episode on Comcast. It'd be quite humorous for you.
I'm not a big South Park fan, but I might do that.
That episode, just look it up, Comcast South Park. You'll get a kick, especially as a customer.
Do you ever check your firmware on your router and stuff, Tom?
I'm trying to remember when. I have no idea when the last time was I checked it.
Yeah, because I just did a patch on mine here. I bet you I had 3 or 4 of them already this year, and it seems to make a difference. So
Things that mine's so old, I don't know. I think I just need to upgrade it to a new one. I mean, really, I can't even take advantage of the internet plan that I have to buy because my modem is still a DOCS 2.
oh boy, yeah.
I stay away from firmware updates because the last time I did that, I blew up 3 works computers. I was trying to update some gateway machines, and the boss banned me from ever touching a firmware update again. I've never ever done anything of my own.
Somebody watched the chat for me because like I said, my Chrome window is frozen, so I don't want to refresh it because of the stream. But I can't type anything or monitor anything in chat. So.
That's
Can
normally a
you
Firefox
reopen
one.
up a second window, second browser?
Does anybody know how to cure that with Firefox at the moment, where if you click away from your chat window, you can't type anything until you click into where people have chatted, then click in the chat box, then you can type again?
Yes.
How do you
That's
fix
an
that?
issue with more than just that browser. I think it's an issue of YouTube.
Yeah, that happens on Google Chrome as well.
Yeah, it's just
I've never
YouTube
had it on Chrome.
bad.
What about Vivaldi? Is Vivaldi open source? Is
No.
Vivaldi an open source?
No, it's Chrome based.
I was going to say it's based on Chrome.
Yeah, it's a Chromium based on Chromium, and they have some pieces are technically open source, but not really, and some
Right.
pieces are absolutely proprietary. So,
Really?
yeah.
Some proprietary in there.
Charlie Brown.
I was shocked that they had any open source of their own, not just Chrome. The Chromium base. I thought Maxthon and Opera and Brave are all the same, where there's proprietary top on top of Chromium. Vivaldi is that, but also some of their stuff is available as source. So it's like I was surprised they even did it at all.
So, Michael, you said in chat, I think it's kind of an interesting thing that Firefox does not collect data. Let me find your exact comment. Firefox doesn't do data collection.
Yep.
You want to elaborate on that?
I repeated that after that. I elaborated with the 1% voluntary thing in Germany is being blown up out of proportion. Ridiculous.
Right.
Oh my God. Firefox is taking over, is doing data collection.
Outside of the 1%, even in their terms and conditions, don't they have some data that they collect?
They
I'm not
have.
saying
They know.
personal
They have.
data, but
no.
they collect data, right?
No.
Yeah, it's in the terms and conditions. Actually, I did a whole show on specifically what they have.
They have the ability to do so now that they do it.
No, when you first install Firefox, it will give you a window at the bottom and it asks you what you want to do because it collects telemetry data. By default,
you could say you can set it so it doesn't.
Yes,
but
right. As I said, voluntary options that you have, you can by default. They say, do you want to use this? Whereas Chrome is like, we don't care what you want to do. We're gonna track it anyway.
We're Google.
Well, you could set it. You could turn all those features off in Chrome.
Yes, but what about
not really considering all the every website uses Google Analytics, so it doesn't matter if you do it or not.
Well, you can still block Google Analytics on your host file.
Yeah, but doesn't the Firefox add-on store do Google Analytics?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure I read somewhere where they have Google Analytics for the amount of times you install something or what add-ons you're installing, and I can't remember where I saw it, but I'm pretty sure
I don't need Google Analytics to track that stuff. But you might use it. I mean, not surprised. 90% of the internet uses it. So
sensitive data on Firefox is default off, which I love.
Right.
Web activity, I think, is opt-in, and technical data is opt-in.
Right.
Chrome, all of those are turned on by default. But you can go turn them off. So Firefox is superior in that way, but I don't know. I would say it doesn't collect its.
No, I say they don't do data collection because saying a browser or whatever does data collection, it means that you're saying it's a negative thing that they're doing.
I got
that you don't have.
You're using it in that context.
Right, because they were saying when they said I don't use Firefox, I use Waterfox because Firefox does data collection. Waterfox removes the ability for Mozilla to even offer it. Yeah, but that doesn't say that Firefox is doing data collection. That's a very different thing. And that's what my point was. It's like,
no, it's
saying
interesting you say the 1% is blown out of proportion, because when you hear it, I agree. But do you think that there is a temptation in order to compete? Yeah, exactly. 1% in one area. But don't you think there's a temptation for Firefox? Or let me ask it a different way. Should Firefox do this in order to compete? Because without it, is it even a fair playing ground that they're ever going to be able to compete in without doing the data collection and understanding its user base better?
Yes. They should do it. As a business, they should do it. They should also offer the opt-out like they already do. And if someone
the problem is it goes completely against the charter of their foundation to do any of that data collection at all, even the 1% in Germany. And that's a fundamental challenge. Why? Because it's in the charter of their organization. That's like what I'm saying is that
we will not forcibly collect data on you. If we ask you and you say yes, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, their charter goes even more to say that we don't even believe that data should be collected. If you go and read their organizational standpoint, that's what it says. See if I can find it. Well, we were talking about the add-on store. At least going on to add-ons and hitting more add-ons, which I'm guessing is the add-on store, does not have Google Analytics.
Okay.
That's what I'm finding there.
So really, at the end of the day, these days, you don't even have to get arrested by the police, do you? Just go out and buy yourself a smartphone and then unlock it with your fingerprint. Gotcha.
Nowadays, you got face recognition in the new iPhone 10.
Oh, yeah, face recognition as well. Gotcha.
So, it used to be that they'd have to get a court order to get your fingerprint. As I understand it, I'm not arrested very often enough to know. They would have to get a court order to get your fingerprint from your phone. But couldn't a cop now in jail, if they just want to unlock your phone, just kind of like, flip the phone towards you and get
your
it to
fingerprint
unlock?
is actually not protected in the sense like they have to get a court order to get a fingerprint proof of you. They do not have to get a court order to make you open it.
Hey, hang on a minute. Can we just go back?
If you use your finger, then you open it. They can force you to do that. Because there's actually laws that
they can force you to use your finger to open it.
Yeah, correct. You're forced to open it in multiple situations. Like,
wow.
Even if you have a passcode.
Use the passcode.
Even
the passcode is still shaky. The fingerprint, absolutely. There doesn't have to be anything on that. The passcode is shaky. Technically, they can't, but that's being challenged in a lot of interesting ways.
There are some cases where they can get away with it, like customs. If you're coming into the country or something, like they can forcibly make you do it. But there are some situations where police can force you to do it, like the civil forfeiture issue. That they can force you to do it to prove whether you have money or not. Essentially,
well, I guess if you're in jail, you could be like, the police are gonna try to force you to put your fingerprint on there. You could be like, "Come at me, bro," and maybe you could. Keep them away.
The civil forfeiture system it doesn't matter. Like they don't even have to arrest you, and they can steal your money from the civil forfeiture.
But the whole face recognition thing just seems, and I haven't tried it. So in fairness, this is my opinion without actually playing with iPhone's new facial recognition feature. It just seems like a weaker option. And I know people were saying you can trick the Samsung with a photo, or you could at one point. I don't know if you still can, with a photo of that individual. I don't know if they've been able to overcome that.
The one thing that I read was that if you have an identical twin, that will, your identical twin can actually open that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You guys ever watch?
So Michael could open my phone?
Yep.
Oh, no.
We're exactly.
If you watch Twitch,
except I'm not wearing a hat, that might be a problem.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Leo Laporte did a show. I was watching it today, as a matter of fact, and him and Megan Maroney were on there. It was the screensaver show that they do, and they were showing how it does the recognition. And she has two twins. One has long hair, and one doesn't. And apparently, they tested, and sure enough, with her twins, they were able to open the phone. But they said as the phone learns more and more and more about you as you go along, it's supposed to get better. He didn't have a lot of negative things to say about it. He actually was quite surprised at how nice it was. So you guys might want to, and gals might want to
Isn't it weird?
Yeah.
And all the
Here's
people got
the
access
big
to
challenge. Well, there's
prior
a
to it
ton of big
releasing.
challenges.
Love
The
it.
the biggest challenge right now is app developers can gain access to and store that facial recognition data on
Right.
their own personal servers.
Sort of.
Nice.
Tom,
I did read-
I sent you a link in
Oh,
Zoom.
did you?
Check it out.
Let me find it.
Some of
I did
them
read
have
recent-
the ability
Sorry, I did
to.
read recently though that Apple are having big problems with the face recognition, and that whereas before you could hold your phone here and click the fingerprint and away you go, now people are having to walk down the street doing this and finding the optimum 10 to 15 inches for them to do face recognition.
They
go
also
from bright
removed
sunlight to
the touch
dark,
feature.
and it causes problems again.
The iPhone X actually removes Touch ID entirely.
Yeah.
Can't even use it.
You can't
But
even use it.
what's-
They took
what's
away the
funny-
home button.
They recognized that it was not working as well as they hoped. So they allowed the manufacturers to lower the the requirement for the Face ID to work. So it can actually work with less points, making it less security. So, that's fun.
You wouldn't want to unlock it with your angry face, would you? Because all they'd have to do is say, "You're under arrest." No way, gotcha.
Well, for you guys who have beards, you shave your beard off and it can't recognize you.
That too.
Mhm.
Yep.
No, they
Yes, yes.
It relearns. They say it relearns
Yeah,
each
sort of.
segment. That's why I say watch this. That you'll learn a little bit more about it, because I was surprised too, and that's what they did. That's why they did the two boys with the two different look, and it does. Airback Leo said he originally had it learned with his glasses on, and at first it did not recognize him without them, but then it relearned that, so then he could do both. So it basically has to learn however you look in different segments.
Yeah.
It just
I like to
bothers me.
just put in a 2-digit
it does.
passcode and be done with it. This is ridiculous.
I want to go back to something Das Geek said earlier. He said, "I don't get arrested that often."
Yeah, not that often.
Why is it you get arrested?
So how many times have you been?
And
They
for what?
never ask for my phone. They kind of figure what's on it already.
Well, Rose in
That's
chat,
interesting, Rocco.
Rose in
Yeah.
chat is saying that won't they take information so we can get a real accurate info on who's using Linux, which it might help the developers get a real market share. It's a good point.
Well, that's a double-edged sword, man, because you want the
It
data,
is.
but
Yeah.
you really don't want the tracking. So,
Mm.
I'm sure everybody
I mean-
has an opinion on it, but
Yeah.
I would never have an opinion.
you would never have an opinion.
No.
So there's no way of working out who's using what operating system. All there is, no.
Oh yeah,
not at all.
just not Linux.
Huh?
Windows, they totally know how many people use Windows. Well, Mac, they totally know how many people use Mac.
Well, yeah,
Well-
because if you think about most websites in the background, and Tom would relate to this too, like a WordPress site or whatever, they've got plugins. And if you do it, there's an analytic in there, it'll show you not only what operating system, but what type of device they were on too.
Mhm. Yeah, device, operating system, browser, resolution. I mean, everything.
Yeah.
You guys should all go
you
into
can
your Steam
still
account.
gain.
And under your account settings, there's an option called Platform Preferences, and I think everybody should go in there and check SteamOS plus Linux if you haven't already.
Yeah.
Maybe give them some additional statistics there.
I do.
Maybe they could just make their hardware for survey not trash. Maybe.
Ryan and Rocco, I got to say this before Mike decides to overtake the stream again. No, just kidding, Mike.
Nice.
Never do that more
Last
than like 7
Destination Linux with Noah. Good job. Good job.
Oh, thank you so much.
Excellent. That was
We should do that for Noah though, because he carried it. He's so good.
No, I'm just kidding.
Mm-hmm.
He was incredibly awesome. He was kind of like a Michael, but someone who really actually knew what he was talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
I had to,
I
Michael.
know his agent.
Sorry, my
What's his
twin.
name?
I'm being
Michael.
mean to my twin.
I am Noah's agent. I'm the one who hooked up the
You
interview,
did.
so-
Yep.
So,
Yep.
you're welcome.
So Charlie in chat mentioned earlier.
Sorry, Michael.
Charlie in chat mentioned earlier about Brave browser. That's a new one that's come up just recently. Where do
No.
they come from, and what's their background? Brave.
Their background is turn off everybody else's adverts. Only take adverts through us so we can make money out of it.
Oh, was that how it is?
I'm pretty much against Brave myself because of that very function. Like, if I personally have some of my websites monetized with AdWords, and I'd be, it irritates me that I build a website, I put a website out there, and their browser pulls my ads out and puts their ads in. That's a little creepy.
No, that's not right.
There's a thing that, please correct me if I'm incorrect on that. That's my understanding. But you can get an account through them, and you can monetize through them as well. That's my, do you know more differently, Barbara?
I use Brave on my phone.
What you were just explaining. That's
you were just kind of saying that that's what you've understood as well.
Yes, that's how I've understood it.
Yeah,
I don't use it.
They remove ads, put their own ads, and you can, as a creator, contact them to give you a partnership to create the thing. But you have to actively do it. They just remove your ads regardless.
And that's the part that I don't think is fair. Is right.
Yeah.
To remove your ads.
The Brave user could not block the ads, but then what's the point of using Brave?
I use it on my phone and it blocks all ads. I don't see any.
Oh, really?
Right, because
a lot of it's their ad network is still so small. It's
you also have to opt in to show ads. You have to, as a user, have to opt in to show ads.
Yeah.
And when you do show ads, it's their ads, not the people who actually make the site.
You know what I did on this phone is I rooted it, added a new host file that blocks all ads, period, and used Firefox.
Didn't Firefox just release a mobile browser that is just for that?
They did, but you have to get it on the Play Store, and I don't have any Google apps on this
Firefox
thing,
Focus.
So.
Focus. Yeah, I couldn't think of the name.
Yep.
Yeah.
It only gives you one tab.
I'm being summoned to go kill orcs, so I need to jump off here and go kill some orcs.
See you, man.
Enjoy.
What are you running on your phone, Tom?
Yeah, let's see. My final parting thought for the day, I guess. Let's see.
Yeah, what's your last word?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. My last word. I'm going to redo all the wiring in my office this weekend.
That sounds incredibly fun.
It does sound fun, doesn't it? But I was down at Goodwill today, and I found a little short coaxial cable, so I can get rid of the 25-foot one I have between my wall and my modem, which is this much space. And I found another long one of these guys. I can actually put things together so stuff doesn't fall all over the place. So I will have a new office at the beginning of the week. All right, folks. Have yourself a good one. We'll catch you all later.
See you, Tom.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Night.
I'm late in Tux Digital style. I blame Rocco.
Look, wasn't this the guy that was saying he was not going to be late?
Yes, it was.
He was, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But
he's the guy that's late.
He can't make up for it.
He's never going to be late to a stream, but he always is.
Yeah.
I wasn't late. I mean, I was, but that's not the point. I was.
Today you were 2 hours and 10 minutes late to your stream.
No. I was talking about being late.
Counting.
Being late to my stream. That's
I'm
my.
counting, Barbara.
Okay.
That's my style. You can't. You gotta. I don't know.
So Rose is saying, why can't the info from web browsers be used in determination of the net market share for an OS?
Because it's incredibly unreliable for multiple reasons. One, it requires someone to be collecting the data for as many people as possible and provide that data to the users. Two, people change their user agents, and it's super easy. You just install an add-on and choose whatever agent you want. There's also add-ons specifically designed to display your user agent as the most common user agent of all computers. And they take that, basically it shows that you're a Windows user. So all of those different examples are why. The most annoying thing, there is one collection service that does have all the information and could tell people, but they don't because they're Google.
Yeah. And I've got that extension. It's called User Agent Switcher for Chrome, because whenever I come across a website that just doesn't play ball, I'll use that to switch one until I find it works properly.
Yeah, there's also an extension called Blender that automatically changes it to whatever is the most common. which is annoying because when you search for Blender, it's like, good luck with that one.
Right.
But yeah, it's unreliable, and unfortunately, it's not possible to ever know. The fact that people like Linux users hate the idea of data collection is just like, I understand there's certain data collections that are bad, but you should also be considering some of them. Like Machine ID is a very good system. I like Machine ID systems of providing data because that's completely anonymous and by default is like encrypted to the point where it's impossible to know who you are. It's just a random ID that is assigned to your hardware. And if you change your hardware, you've changed your ID, but that's fine because they want to know what configuration, like a single hardware or single computer is not likely to change your hardware to get that ID change. So it's a very reliable system to say this user has downloaded this particular distro and their machine ID matches the ID we have already. So we know that this is a returning person. We don't know who they are or what they're using it for or whatever, but we know that they existed and that they have done it before. That's how machine ID tracking would work. And it's a great option. So
why don't we start a little program to say everybody use it?
Well, there actually is a distro that currently does use it.
Which is?
KDE Neon.
So they're tracking you.
They're not tracking you, no. They basically just assign an ID to you. And then once they assign an ID, you stop it. What they do is it assigns an ID, then it deletes all the connections to that ID. And every time it wants to test to see if you are the same, if you like download it again and checks, it makes a new ID and go, do you have a matching ID already? You do. We'll just keep that ID. And then everything else is thrown away. So it's just like a one singular ID that they track. And it just tracks how many times people are downloading it and installing it. Whereas like right now, most distros have we have this many downloads or this is like whatever. We have absolutely no idea if that's, the same 10,000 people downloading it over and over and over. There's no way to know that. It's just, they're just downloading it. And the machine ID actually creates a way where you can track it and know not necessarily track any one particular, but just to track unique downloads. Because it's impossible to really track by IP because people share IPs dynamically all the time, especially with like the IPv4 switching all the time. So unless you have a static IP, there's really no way to track it. And even if you do have a static IP, that's kind of tracking too if you don't want that to happen. So machine ID is the most useful at the same time the most anonymous. And I think it's a lot. Every distro should like request users do it.
Why don't we have a website set up where you can opt in and go there and just click a button and it picks up your hardware ID, and that way
that's an option because that people won't go there.
Well, how do you know that though? People probably will.
What about a company that deploys Ubuntu and people who are using it don't care? So the only information you have is enthusiasts. The machine ID is an automatic trigger.
It wouldn't be
if the word gets out there. Well,
no matter. They don't care. There's like millions of people who use Ubuntu who do not care. Yep. They don't even know it's Ubuntu. They don't know it's Linux. They don't care. Their company gives them to them and they use it. That's it.
Right. If you're looking for the exact accurate numbers, you're not going to get the participation you need to get accurate numbers in that system.
Right. Machine ID is the one way to actually get it because it's automatic.
There's a lot of people out there using Linux that's just not enthusiasts. That's what you're saying, isn't it? They're probably just given the machine like you say, and they don't really care as long as it works.
Right. There's people who do know it's Linux, appreciate Linux, and still don't care enough to go to a website and click it.
Right.
Because, like, for example, I've just switched a bunch of people to it, and they don't know anything. I would ask them, what Linux you're using? They're like, it's called Linux.
Mark in the chat says, I know if all Linux users switch to Peppermint and give me 10 euros per copy, I'll tell you exactly how many users use Linux.
That's fair enough.
Good stuff there. I still can't type in chat. Even I opened a Firefox window as well, and I typed in chat one time, and now it just acts like I'm not even typing when I type in chat.
So you have to click. You have to. Did you try clicking in where all the user chat is, and then clicking in the enter box?
Which is what I was saying earlier. Yeah.
That was a bug that we were talking about later or earlier.
Yeah.
Let me try it.
Yeah, click in the box and then click.
You
in
mean
the chat.
where the actual text is?
Yes.
Yeah, where the entered text
typing, and then you click into where you
conversations.
Hey, look at that! It works.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Man, I should watch you guys. I should watch you guys when you talk, or listen, or pay attention. One or the other.
Why are you even on our show?
I don't know. I'm gonna go. All right, you guys take care of everything.
We'll just use your processing power to encode it.
Yeah, I'll just leave the stream running. You guys run with it, okay?
I don't feel bad. I'm still trying to figure out how to get rid of these two windows.
I don't even know how to. I've looked and I don't even know how to activate those two windows, so I can't help you there.
I unchecked the dual monitor, so I don't know what's causing it. I mean,
yeah, maybe you need to restart or something.
Well, that's why I dropped out before and dropped back in. It's I don't like
it's still the same.
Yeah.
Put that link into Machine ID for us, Colin, if you can, in chat.
Sorry?
Can somebody put the Machine ID link in chat?
Machine ID?
Machine ID is an infrastructure system. It's not like a thing.
But isn't there a website that Colin said you can go to and register?
No, I said...
No, I was talking about it.
He was saying that there should be a
saying
way.
how it would be nice to have something like that. Yeah.
It would still wouldn't. It would give us more information, but it wouldn't solve the ultimate problem.
Mm.
It would be something that all distros should consider creating in their thing, and if they did so, we wouldn't have to worry about people downloading ISOs and then reusing them over and over. Distro hopping, for example, we have to worry about that because an ID would be used. And while if you did jump around. Let's say, for example, you did Ubuntu Mate and then you installed Peppermint and then you went back to Ubuntu Mate. Ubuntu Mate would not count you as a new person because the ID would be the same because your hardware is still the same. So that's why Machine ID is a much better system because we can actually keep track of the people who are unique. And they could say like, oh, this person was using the Machine ID. They were using our Ubuntu Mate for this time. But all of a sudden, they came back again a while ago. Like, why would they need to reinstall unless they had already switched away and they came back? So
that wouldn't give you like accurate info though. Then of people who are currently running it.
They could actually Machine ID could also ping back every once in a while saying that this ID is still using whatever. So like, there is a possibility of saying like once a week have a ping back that says this ID is still using your thing, so you can still have information. Like, I think Neon does have a ping back. I don't know if it's once a week or anything, but it's definitely something that should be made for most distros should do. At least consider it.
Is that data tracking?
Do what?
I mean, is that basically the same thing every time you're data tracking? I mean, I know the purpose behind it's a lot different, but...
No, you're not tracking data for hardware, is it? Hardware ID is not data tracking, is it? Just picks up your ID, yeah?
It doesn't track any of your data. It doesn't know what kind of data you have. All it knows is that when you download the ISO and install it, it takes the signatures of your hardware and creates an ID from that signature. Right. And then it doesn't use and then the hardware information is like ignored and thrown away, and it just keeps that ID. And then it pings the ID to the distro, and it's just okay, cool. There's the new user. We've never seen this ID before, and then they can have that in a database. And if you come back and reinstall, and they go, oh, there's the same ID, so it's the same user. We don't have to count that download as the same person as a new person. We know it's the same person. And then also you can ping back and forth and say, I'm still using your software. It's kind of like letting you know that you're doing it, and it's actually
Steam
really
just did that too. Steam did a survey basically seeing, can we see what kind of hardware you're using in comparison, whatever, and kind of tell.
Steam
hardware. I don't know that's the same thing you're talking, but that's different from the distro. But it's kind of the same principle as far as.
No, they want all your information. They want
What's that?
literally every piece of hardware you have. They want your hardware information. This is not what I'm. That's a completely different.
No, I know it's different, but it just reminded me of that because I just saw that survey last week. They want, supposedly the reason they're doing it is to kind of be able to tell what kind of hardware is running their platforms.
Right. And they should do it, and they should ask people, and they don't, and their survey's trash.
It doesn't work properly. I must have installed 15 OSs this week, and every time I've installed Steam, I've not been asked once.
I've used Steam since it came out on Linux. I've been asked once ever. The hardware survey on Steam is trash. It means nothing. Like, no matter whatever percentage they say Linux is, it's not what it is because they're not asking people. I know people who've never been asked ever. It's like it's terrible.
We need the Linux. We need it by default in a Linux distro, like you say. Pick up the ID because isn't that how Microsoft do their Windows 10? If you're running Windows 7 and you upgrade to Windows 10, right, from a Windows 7 or a Windows 8 or 8.1, you can completely trash that and reinstall it. It knows it's been on that computer because it picks up your hardware ID, isn't it?
They track a lot more than that. They track a lot more than that.
Right.
They also have the serial number connection too.
Yep.
And the serial number is embedded into your hardware. So like
that's what they're using. Sure.
Like they have that kind of connection. So like I mean, in a way, that's even kind of a machine ID, except that one is like arbitrarily forced and used as tracking. You're like actually tracking you.
Okay.
Well, when it looked at mine, it actually did show it showed the exact OS I had on there and stuff. So
right, but the hardware survey is, will you give us all your information about your hardware? Cool, thanks. We'll use that. What I'm talking about is, will you just give us an automatically made arbitrary ID?
I get it.
Nothing else.
I get it.
So like,
that would be good.
But they would have to know what hardware you're using in order to get that ID and keep that ID separate from something else. They would have to know to keep it unique.
No, they don't. Your hardware creates that ID.
Yes, but I'm saying they would have to realize what hardware you're running to connect it to an ID so that it didn't duplicate itself.
Well, they're not trying to be like, it's impossible, even Windows and Mac, it's impossible to know absolute to a certainty of like, they just know a better margin of error. The margin of error for Windows and Mac is like 5%. Like they're very, very accurate because they have the serial numbers and, you know, the licensing and stuff like that. Whereas Linux, the margin of error is like 99%.
Well, I'm not complaining about it. I'm just saying you were saying that they wouldn't really know or care what hardware you had, but they would have to collect what hardware you had in order to assign an ID that would be connected to that.
Your computer assigns the ID.
So what you're saying then is when that operating system is installed, it assigns and stores that ID somewhere, and it's going to be
and it's unique number. Because the motherboard has a serial number. Your hard drive.
So it has to be keyed on some unique number.
The hard drive, the software, and the keys that are associated, and the IDs associated to the individual hardware on your computer are all different because they have manufacturer numbers, serial numbers. There's different levels of firmware inside of your motherboard that has different things. So like there's like 3 different things in the motherboard itself that give it an identification. But it's a unique to this one piece of hardware, and you combine all these things together and compute it with an algorithm and create a machine ID from that. If you change any element whatsoever, it changes the ID.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. Okay.
And that's why in the bad old days of Windows, if you changed out your CPU or you changed out your motherboard, it thought it was a new machine and said, "Hey, you've got to buy Windows again."
Right, exactly. They would say it's a new machine because the new ID would be different because you changed out your hardware. But no one else can have your same ID because your hardware is specific to you.
Yeah.
Because of all the serial numbers and stuff. So like they don't need to know anything other than the ID number. And they can also make it really, really complicated in the sense of like, like 256-bit or something. They can make it like in crazy, like long. It doesn't matter. It could be like an RSA key or something. So like you don't have to worry about like duplicate accidental duplicates. It would be a massive string.
So what you're saying is the operating system itself would collect the hardware information and assign an ID, and they would just collect the ID.
Correct. They would have no idea what hardware made that ID. They would just have the ID information, and that's it. So like there is absolutely no tracking. It's basically just in statistical tracking, and that's it. Like there's no connection to whoever it is at all. Because
that's actually really cool.
Yeah, the serial number tracking, or like the creation of the machine ID with the serial numbers, even the machine ID itself does not give any indication of what hardware you're even using, like what brands or models or anything. But because it's using specific pieces of the hardware itself giving the signals, that's the automatic unification or the uniquifying or whatever of each individual machine makes that machine ID very powerful. So they don't even need any of that information to automatically know it's a different thing. Now, there is problematic in the sense of someone changing changing your motherboard or your CPU or something, you would have a different machine ID, and it would still be one person. But the ratio of the margin of error for that to happen is so low because people usually keep their machine or their hardware for years, at least like 4 or 5 years. So you would have a margin of error, but the error would be, we could at least pull it down to like 20%. And that would still be massively beneficial. And as far as like in the chat room, someone asked if you could turn it off. I think it was Tuck Servant. And yes, you can turn it off. Because
the machine ID is what you're saying. You can turn that off.
You can turn off the creation of the ID,
right.
or you can turn off the sending of the ID.
I'm just curious how that's implemented. Honestly, like, is it implemented on login? Because if you don't want it, and if they didn't give you an option to turn it off, it's open source. You could probably just take it out. Like, it's not like the code isn't open and it's like a Microsoft product and you have to be tracked. It's where it's open source. You could recompile it without the tracking, I guess.
Well, I mean, not really. Like, there's no reason to use machine ID if you're not doing any kind of tracking. So it would be worthless at that point. But if you didn't want your computer to be connected, the only distros I know that do it is Neon. I think others are considering it. And there's some Arch people, like the Arch French project link, like I forgot what they call it. It's like archlinux.fr or something. They have tracking, but that tracking is voluntary as well. And you have to know that that's even a possibility before that even happens, because you have to install something yourself in order to make that work. And they basically do machine ID system too.
Is that the people who made Yawa? You have to put that into the
Mm-hmm. But the tracking system is a package you have to manually install before it does anything.
Someone's asking in chat, can you spoof machine ID?
You can not really, because you can make a fake ID, yes, but the systems typically go where you have to install it in a certain. It has to be processed by the machine, by the algorithm, and then pulled in a certain sequence. So while you could make a fake ID, it'd be hard to associate it into their software to make them pull it in.
And how does it work with VirtualBox then? Or like VirtualBox or like QEMU? How does it work inside one of those? Is that still counted in the statistics, or is it just the real hardware systems?
If it can't, I don't know. I haven't really dug that deep in, but in theory, the machine ID infrastructure.
What did you say?
That I haven't dug in that deep.
You said I don't know. I don't believe I've ever heard you say that before.
It happens. It's not common.
It's not often.
It doesn't happen as often as the rest or anything. But like,
right.
But I can't say for sure about individual distros. The infrastructure of machine ID does it in a sense that if it's virtual hardware, it can detect that it's virtual hardware and it doesn't count it. But in some cases, you can count it. because you can detect it as virtual hardware. So if it's like someone doing a virtual machine for a server deployment, you might want to know what deployments are being used and stuff like that. So it could be, it depends on whoever implements it, whether they want to count it or not. And it's hard to say whether they should or not, because in certain like servers, virtual machines are used all the time and might be beneficial to know that. Individuals might not really matter, but I don't know.
Someone's bashing away on the keyboard there.
Yeah, not me.
What is the latest distro on the last new distro on the scene that wasn't Arch based?
That would be keyboard.
What would it be?
I don't know. That's what Robot Glock said. What's the last new distro on the scene that wasn't Arch based? Because Arch is taking over.
I don't believe Arch is taking over, but
I don't think so either. But
Solus.
He also asked before that, I wonder why people don't make more Fedora, SUSE based distros.
Because they're too bloody hard to work with.
So, yes, but the reason why people don't make SUSE-based distros is actually interesting. The Fedora, there are a few Fedoras like Corora and stuff like that. But SUSE and OpenSUSE has this, for a long time, they've had the SUSE Studio where you could just make your own distro.
Mm-hmm.
And it creates an ISO for you, and you say what packages you want installed and all this other stuff. And what's cool about it is that OpenSUSE also looks at the distros people are making, and they contact them and say, we like this particular feature. Would you be interested in participating in that with OpenSUSE? And most of the time, they do. So instead of like having a fork, they just adopt the work that was done in the SUSE Studio. So like there's been at least 20 developers who's made stuff like that who've become OpenSUSE developers. Well, that's based on what Richard Brown has said in discussions I've had with him. But there's in some situations there's also people who are like Gecko Linux that don't necessarily agree with the OpenSUSE like the full direction. So they made their own, although they have kind of an interesting issue where SUSE Studio and OBS are fantastic separately. Theoretically, together they'd be amazing, but they also kind of create a problem for people who are using SUSE Studio, as in some of the APIs are being removed. So it creates a problem for Gecko Linux because they use SUSE Studio to create their distros. And now they can't do that anymore. So they have to change to like compiling stuff on a VPS, for example. Something like that. So they've already said that they've worked. That I've found out some news about this particular topic for Gecko Linux, and they said that they have figured out a way to bypass SUSE Studio being combined with OBS, which is called the SUSE Studio Express, if you're interested. And no, it's not expressing. Express implies that they're making things faster and more simple. They're just adding things together, and that's the opposite of that.
So that's great.
Yeah. So, but the actual SUSE Studio Express concept is fantastic. So I hope they could help the stuff with the Gecko Linux and improve it, because that's pretty cool.
I did sign up to that OpenSUSE thing a very, very long time ago. Started because you just click and add things, don't you, on that, or can it go in more in depth than that? But I end up not making something. But
it goes super down, but it's the same kind of issue. You can even say what version kernel you want and things like that, so you can specify very deeply. But you don't have to.
Kind of
you
fun.
can super quick one too if you want.
How about they just specify the option to say my internet will work when I install it?
That is a good suggestion. I'll submit a bug.
Okay, good.
So Robot blocks. Fedora's easy to use once you disable SELinux. What is SELinux, is that their security feature in Fedora, is it?
Linux.
What is wrong with it? Always I see people mention SELinux is a problem. What is it with SELinux?
There are two things that people typically say with SELinux. One, I don't understand it. It's too hard. Which it is pretty hard. But once you get used to it, it doesn't take long to get used to it, but you have to read some documentation before you can really understand how it works.
And therein lies the problem, because it's never written in English.
Well, it's in nerd leak speak.
Nerd, exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's not in English.
Yeah, nerd speak.
So I guess kind of not really.
Geek speak.
It is very complicated. It's very powerful. And it allows you to have a lot of control and permissions for your security and access permissions of networking and all kinds of stuff. And it does. Robot Glock said it restricts apps for their own permissions like that. It does that too, but it also has like process permission stuff as well. It provides a lot of cool features. The second thing is that it was created by the NSA. So people kind of just say, I don't trust the NSA. And that's true.
It really was created by the NSA?
It really was created by the NSA, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, I read that somewhere.
15, 20 years ago, something like that. Mm-hmm. A while ago. So I understand the argument of NSA bad people. They have for the recent history for sure. But there's also been work on the Linux kernel by the NSA. And you have to look at the fact that you're not trusting the NSA necessarily. You're trusting a project that they initiated that has been taken over by open source culture in the community. So you're trusting the community to basically see if it's okay. And in this case, you're trusting Red Hat to see if it's okay. So if you don't trust Red Hat, I understand, but I would disagree. They do make some interesting decisions that I won't agree with, but overall, I think they are trustworthy. I also think that Canonical is trustworthy, even if I disagree with some of their decisions. So it's an issue of in most cases, it's an issue of one FUD and complications. So, typically, SELinux is good to use. It's very powerful. It provides a lot of features, and it's not always necessary, but it is useful.
Fedora was very much my first distro. Besides Red Hat and Knoppix, which was sent to me by mail very, very many years ago, but I think I remember disabling that too, and I didn't know sort of too much about it. That's probably why I use mainly Ubuntu distros, because they're a lot easier to understand.
Mm-hmm.
So
Ubuntu is fantastic.
Yeah,
it gets a bad rap, but it's fantastic.
Fedora has got a lot better though, because I've actually got Fedora 26 working now, and it's pretty good.
Okay.
Fedora is good and also kind of funny in the sense that they set deadlines for their releases and literally never meet them.
Yeah, every time it's a week late, it's a week or 2 weeks late. I think one of the worst I've read was it was like 4 weeks late on one of their releases.
Oh, one time it was like 2 or 3 months. Like,
oh, really?
4 or 5 years ago, they were like 2 or 3 months late. And it was like, just don't put a deadline.
Exactly, yeah, because that's one of the things that I think is a problem with Ubuntu. We know there's something coming out in October. We know there's something coming out in April. And they release it, whether it's any good or not.
So that's true, but from a marketing standpoint, it's the best option you can have. Because if every 6 months you get a ton of press from your stuff, a ton, and even if you look at all the distros and flavors, they have a marketing issue with having to compete with Ubuntu, but at the same time, they're benefiting from all the press that Ubuntu gets that they might not get themselves. So there's like this weird dichotomy between the two. But Ubuntu every 6 months is like, everywhere for, at least 3 weeks. So
Plus Fedora is
it's better for them.
Plus Fedora is notorious for being late to their releases.
Right. That's what I
So
said.
they juice that up a little bit.
Well, Fedora has the problem with they get a lot of press too, except a lot of the time their marketing says, hey, it's not going to make it. Give us a couple more weeks.
Hype train.
There was another recently. They were like, Fedora Workstation is coming out. But we wanted to let you know that a Fedora server for Fedora 27 is not. It's going to be a couple weeks late, and Fedora 27 is still all of it's currently a couple weeks late now. So
coming out Tuesday apparently.
Isn't server? Wouldn't you think server would be the one they want down first?
not really, not for Fedora. Red Hat, yeah, but not Fedora.
All right, gents.
I don't even know why Fedora has a server version, honestly. We have CentOS and Red Hat. You done. It was like, no, we need another Red Hat funded project to make another server for some reason.
We started on time here, so we're ending late. Unlike Tux Digital Streams. So, wow.
Whoa. Really late.
It's definitely Rag on Michael Day.
Everybody gets a last word, Barb.
You stream for 2 hours, I stream for 5.
I actually made it through the whole thing.
There you go.
Yay!
Michael, last word.
TouchDigital.com/DasGeek, DasDigital.com/BigDaddyLinux.
Does that still work? I didn't check.
It still works, yep.
Okay. Pete?
Yep.
I said something this time.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, no. Simon's got a Linux is Everywhere t-shirt, too. Joe? Joe, what's your last word?
If you break your distro, know where to go to fix it.
The USB installer to reinstall.
Yeah, exactly.
Zeb?
If you break your distro, just install Peppermint.
There you go.
Hey,
Colin.
by the way, where's your sweater tonight? Your sweatshirt, your Peppermint one, and no screensaver. I said, that's what's missing.
Yeah, no, I was showing Ubuntu Budgie this week, but it gave me some grief on Zoom for some reason, so I had to reboot.
Oh.
Peppermint. Sorry, guys.
Colin?
PC TLC, check it out.
There you go. Hey, what was your latest video you said?
Tweaking Ubuntu GNOME 1710.
So can you post a link in chat for that?
Yeah, it's touchdigital.com/PCTLC.
All the redirect.
I'm done.
All redirects.
Collecting your machine ID,
All right, so
you can track where you go after you visit his site.
Everybody,
that's fine.
yeah, everybody go to check out Colin's channel and check out his latest video. All right.
I think a few have because of my subscribers have lifted a little bit, so it's good.
Ryan?
Operation Convert Rocco to XFCE is
almost complete.
Almost.
No, the operation is get Rocco off of GNOME.
Exactly. That should be what it is.
That's hard to do.
Ryan,
Scrap?
he said last word, not last threat.
Scrap. What's your last word, man?
Self-host.
Self-host.
Do it yourself.
There you go.
Get off the machine that is Google. I'm trying right now. I have a Nextcloud and it's working out pretty well so far.
Nice. Well, maybe next week we can dive into that and see how it's working out.
I'll be here.
Simon, last word.
I'm not gonna be late like Tux Digital usually is. But like so I heard something about Peppermint earlier. When Peppermint breaks, Ubuntu.me, that's the website you gotta go to. I don't think there's a Tux Digital redirect for that yet. But otherwise,
It'll be in about 5 seconds.
Oh, I could go on and on, like Tux Digital stream.
Okay, so my last word is check out the latest Destination Linux coming out Monday, where we talk to Dustin. All right?
It's going to be a heck of an episode if he can ever get it edited.
If I can ever get it finished editing. Oh, and it will not be out early tomorrow morning like it usually is, but it will be out tomorrow for the patrons.
But our
anyway.
patrons got to watch live a lot of them, or some of them,
Yes.
so that was cool.
Yeah.
That was neat this week, too.
Cool.
So if you go to tuxedo.com/Ubuntu, you can check out the new website for Ubuntu.
I told you.
Yes.
Oh my gosh! All right, everybody have a great night. Thanks
You
for showing
too.
up.
You're
See you
welcome.
guys.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
RMRF.
See ya.
All right, that's not a way to end it.
Okay, you seriously created that redirect. That's so great.
So great.